You ever stop and think about all the stuff your body just does, without even trying? Your heart's beating, you're breathing, you're blinking. It's all on autopilot. Well, today, we're going to take a tour of the unsung hero that makes all of that possible, the brainstem.
Now really think about it for a second. What's the command center that's keeping your lungs going while you sleep, or making sure your heart keeps pumping when you're totally lost in a movie? It's actually a pretty wild question when you get down to it.
And there's our answer. It's the brainstem. This little structure is absolutely 100% vital for our survival. The best way to think of it is like your body's own personal control tower, a mission control that never, ever takes a break. So let's get in there and see how this incredible piece of machinery actually works.
To really wrap our heads around the brainstem, we're going on a little tour. We're going to travel down this vital stalk, right from the top to the very bottom. And our journey is going to have 3 main stops.
Okay, so here's our roadmap. At the very top, in the superior position, we've got the midbrain. You can think of that as our relay station. Then, right in the middle, we have the pons, which acts as a super important bridge. And finally, at the bottom, in the inferior position, is the medulla. This is basically our body's life support system. Ready? Let's start at the top.
All right, our first destination is the highest part of the brainstem. It's a tiny but absolutely critical region called the midbrain.
And listen, when I say tiny, I really mean it. The midbrain is only about 2 centimeters long. It's just an incredible piece of natural engineering, packing so much critical function into such a tiny space.
So what's this little 2-centimeter structure even do? Well, its main gig is to be a conduit, a passageway. It takes all the signals and information from your forebrain, that's the part doing all your higher-level thinking, and it relays everything down to the rest of the brainstem. It is the crucial first link in a chain of command you never, ever have to think about.
Okay, let's move on to our next stop and see how this all connects. From the midbrain, we travel down to the largest part of the brainstem, the pons. And honestly, its name gives us a massive clue about what it does.
And well, that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? The name pons is literally the Latin word for bridge, and that is exactly what it is.
The pons is basically a massive bridge made of nerve fibers. It connects your cerebrum, the main wrinkly part of your brain where you do all your conscious thinking, with the cerebellum in the back, which handles all your balance and coordination. So without this bridge, the thought, I'm going to catch that ball, and the physical act of actually catching it just couldn't happen smoothly. It's the go-between.
And now for the last stop on our tour, the medulla oblongata. This is the most inferior part, the point where the brainstem gets ready to connect with the entire rest of the body.
You can really see the whole journey we've taken right here. We started way up high at the midbrain, connected to the thinking part of our brain, right? And now we're all the way down at the medulla, the lowest part, which plugs directly into the spinal cord. It is the final gateway from your brain to your body.
And just like the midbrain, the medulla is impressively small. It's only about 3 centimeters long, maybe 2 centimeters at its widest point. It's just another example of this powerhouse of function packed into a tiny, cone-shaped little bundle.
So here's the crucial thing you have to know about the medulla. It's the final link. It contains all these essential nerve superhighways that pass out of the skull and continue down to become the spinal cord. But it's not just a passageway. It also controls the most vital reflexes you have, your heartbeat, your breathing, your blood pressure. And that is why any damage to this tiny little spot can be so catastrophic.
So now, let's kind of zoom out and just look at the big picture for a second. We've just toured 3 incredibly small structures, but when you put them together, they have this immense, silent power over our very existence.
So let's just recap our little tour. We started up top with the midbrain, the relay station, then we crossed the pons, that great big connector bridge, and we finished at the medulla, the final connection point to the whole body. It's a simple, it's elegant, and it's an absolutely essential system.
And that's really the most mind-blowing takeaway here. This entire structure, this whole thing we've been talking about, is barely larger than your thumb. And it is responsible for the fundamental, automatic processes that keep you alive 24/7 without you ever giving it a single thought.
So, I'll just leave you with this thought. Because this incredible little structure handles our most basic survival functions completely on its own, it frees up the rest of our magnificent brain. So what are you going to do with that freedom? The freedom to think, to create, to learn, to love. It's a pretty powerful thing to think about.